In today's video, you're going to learn exactly how you're going to track alcohol on a macro plan. Hi, I'm Alexa, climate dietitian, sports dietitian, and nutrition coach. Welcome back. Hope you've been well. Before we deep dive into today's lesson, remember, subscribe, ring the bell, awesome. So last week I answered, should you track alcohol when it comes to weight loss? The answer was yes. And this week, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. Let's get into it. Okay, so today's lesson, how to track alcohol on MyFitnessPal properly. So let's first rehash the basics so you understand what I'll be talking about today and where I'm getting these numbers from. So alcohol has 7 calories per gram, and it isn't an actual macro, but we still need to track it. But like I said, it's not a macro, so how do we track it as part of a calorie macro-based plan? Good question, viewer. See, while alcohol may not be a macro, it actually has calories, as I mentioned, and therefore it needs to be tracked. And this, what I'm going to explain today, is exactly how you can do it in the best way possible, so you can still stick with your goals and keep moving forward. And the way we do this is we have to account for the calories from alcohol as either carbs or fats. Confused? Well, don't be. It's actually quite simple, but let me explain exactly what you need to know. So we need to allocate the calories we consume from alcohol as accounting for our carbs and fats. Okay, we need to take away some carbs and fats to account for these calories. And this is the step-by-step process you need to use to get this done. Step 1. First, you want to search for the alcohol in question in MyFitnessPal. Okay, so you want to look up the alcohol that you'll be drinking, or you can even create a database of the alcohols you usually would consume. Okay, so for example, let's say that you like to drink vodka. Okay, let's use vodka as an example. So you would search for vodka, you'd find ideally the vodka you actually consume, and you look for one where these serving sizes are within what you understand. So here in Australia, we'd be using mils. So for a nip of vodka, we'll look for 30 mils as an example, but obviously you can tailor this to yourself, no matter, what way you kind of measure it. You just have to get it consistent so you find out what one serve for you usually is and find that in MyFitnessPal. And step 2 is you then now note how many calories it has per serve. Okay, you just note that down. Step 3 is you grab those calories and you divide it by either a factor of 4 or a factor of 9. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, remember how when you learnt about macros, carbs had 4 calories per gram and fats had 9 calories per gram? Well, that's what the factors we'll be using today. Because remember, you want to account for these calories from the alcohol, from either your carbs or your fats, okay? Whichever one you want to choose. I prefer carbs just because fats do have a minimum requirement for health that we want to achieve. And also, if you're aiming for higher proteins, as most of my clients would be, you don't want to be taking away too much from the fats, because it then makes it really hard for you to potentially have flexibility later in the day. Okay, so that's why I prefer to go from carbs. So most examples today will be with carbs, but remember, all the calculations, all the processes can be done in just the same way by just swapping that number to the 9 and going from there. So you noted down the calories from the alcohol you'll be consuming per serve. You divide it by a factor, okay? So for 4, for example, if you're using for carbs, as that would be for this example. So step 4 is actually quite simple. You then note down that number that you get when you go the calories from the alcohol divided by the factor, so divided by 4, and then you get a number. Note that number down. As a random example, let's say that your serve of alcohol has 100 calories. You divide that by 4 and get 25. And what does this mean? Well, it simply means that that serve of alcohol, that 100 calories, is going to be taken away from 25 grams of your carbs. You're going to be accounting for 25 grams of your carbs for that alcohol. Make sense? Hope it does. So here's what you do next. So now you've got the calories per your serve of alcohol you'll be choosing. You've got the factor that you've used. You've divided that by that, and then now you've got a number, 25 in this arbitrary example. Okay, it's obviously going to be different for your one. Now what do? Well, here's exactly what you do. You go into MyFitnessPal, you create a new food, and you name it vodka, or whatever it is. Let's just say vodka as carb equivalents. You name it that, so you have it in your database ready to go. So now what you do is when you're logging your alcohol, it's simple. You choose the amount of serves you'll be consuming, you log it, and then that will take away the calories that it's needed from your calorie budget, but then also account for that by taking away some from your carbs. That way you can still stay on point, you can still stay on track, and there's no issues with your tracking. And of course, this isn't a perfect science, as you can see. Alcohols don't actually really contain that much carbs, and especially in the case of vodka, no carbs. But what we need to do is we need to grab the calories from the alcohol and account it for one of these. Okay, that brings us back to that point at the start that I mentioned. That's the way it works. It's just the best possible scenario we can do so we can still stay on track with our macros to the best of our ability while still being able to enjoy a drink. And how do you do this the best way possible? Well, what I recommend is you log your alcohol prior to the event, okay? If you can get some planning in, great. I know it may not seem as fun, but if you really want to stay on track with your macros and your calories, and you want to have a healthy lifestyle, healthy nutrition plan, you want to have some balance. And that's when planning comes in. So you plan your alcohol in advance. So you go, okay, I will be drinking 3 vodkas tonight, okay? You decide on that morning and you're ready to log it. Once you've logged it, you can work the rest of your calories around that. So you can still maintain protein, still maintain some flexibility in your diet, and still maintain a healthy eating plan. Okay, so that's how it's done. Pretty simple, right? I hope this has now equipped you with the skills so you can use MyFitnessPal or any similar app so you can actually track your alcohol, account for it, and still stay on track for your weight loss, muscle gain, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And if you're on a macro or calorie tracking plan, let me know below, okay? Drop a comment and tell me, have you been tracking alcohol? Have you been accounting for it? Or have you been letting it slip by? And of course, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below as well, or reach out for email at theclimbingdietitian@gmail.com. If you found this video helpful, obviously smash the like button, show it some love. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Stay classy. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.